Good morning to all SASBA members in Standard Bank. So for the 2022 salary settlement, I'm sure people all know what the settlement was. It's a 6% overnight percentage spend for all general staff in the bargaining unit, a minimum of 5.6% for people with acceptable performance and 4.6% for people with under normal acceptable performance levels. There's also a 6.5% bonus payment with a minimum guarantee of 4.2% for people with acceptable performance. So obviously the salary negotiations are never easy, and it doesn't revolve only about the quantum, the size of the settlement, but a lot of argument. Probably the biggest arguments take place in terms of the distribution of those settlements. The employer would obviously like as much discretion as possible to say the increases are 6%, but we've got the right to distribute that 6% how we deem fit. We want certain guarantees for our members in terms of ensuring that they don't move backwards in terms of the eroding of inflation, and that people with acceptable performance have got a guarantee of certain minimum salary increases, and the same applies to bonuses. So in the last 12 years, I've did some research. In the last 12 years, the SASPO and Standard Bank settlements have all been above average in settlements across all South African industries, even when negotiations with unions take place. There's only in those 12-year period that SASPO settled under the average settlements in the industries, but we still beat inflation. By 1 year it was 2%, the other year it was 1.5%. So normally an employer, if you get paid a salary for doing a certain job and next year you're still doing the same job, there's no need for you to earn a different salary. If the employer makes a big profit and the employer wants to share that, the employer will give a bonus to employees, and same as what Standard Bank does every year. But the reason why an employer gives a salary increase is if they can afford it, the link to inflation. So if inflation is sitting at 4% and your income has been deteriorating for 4% or eroded by 4%, the employer will give you a 4% salary increase that puts you perfectly in line with what your buying power was over the previous year. Now, that is the first guidance that employers and trade unions look at when they start salary negotiations. Now, inflation is on the up. The last couple of years it's been fairly low, and we've had COVID, but the whole world inflation is on the up. But it's still not extremely high. Average inflation for 2021 was 4.5% or 4.9%, and still we beat the inflation figure by 6%. So everybody in real terms are better off than what they were the previous year. And that's the thing that guides SASPO when we enter into negotiations. If you ask me, are you earning enough? Of course not. I'm not earning enough, and people watching this video are not earning enough. But what is fair? The employer would probably want to get away for as low a percentage as possible, because salary increases cost a lot of money, and it's not something that you pay once off. You pay every year because your salary bill increases by that percentage. The employer would not want to spend anything more than inflation, but we as a union would always want more than inflation, because in real terms we want people to be better off than what they were the year before. And as I've stated, in the last 12 years we've been consistently settling way above inflation. I remember in 1 year, I think it's 2015, we settled something like 4% above inflation. So people's income were 4% higher, even though their salary increase was maybe 8%. Did very well. It's just like 2 occasions that the settlements were below the average of all other industries, and we've been able to do it without calling our members out into the streets. Peaceful. Within a week or two we've been able to reach these settlements, and nobody who's a member in Standard Bank can say the increases have been poor. Could have been better. I'd like to earn a little bit more, but in reality I think it's a fair settlement that we've reached this year, also taking into account the uncertainty in the economy. I think it's a fair settlement. If the employer is a little bit unhappy and SASPO is a little bit unhappy, then it probably means that it was a fair settlement. Thank you for watching this video.